In the depths of time, there lie hidden treasure, a memory box filled with moments that shaped our world. Welcome to Time Capsule, where we dig deep into history, unearthing stories that resonate across generations. On November 13th, 1909, tragedy struck Cherry, Illinois. The earth trembled, flames roared, and lives were forever changed. We will journey back to that fateful day, exploring the harrowing events that unfolded deep within the coal mine. But that's not all. Our time capsule holds many more secrets. Brace yourself for the whirlwind tour of other historic milestones that share that same date. So grab your metaphorical shovel, dust off the cobwebs, and join us as we dig up the layers of time. You're watching Now You Know More. In 1905, the St. Paul Coal Company established the Cherry Mine to supply coal for trains operated by its parent company, the Chicago-Milwaukee-St. Paul Railroad. The mine consisted of 3 horizontal veins, each progressively deeper than the previous one. These mines were interconnected vertically through 2 shafts, positioned approximately 100 yards apart. Both the main shaft and the secondary shaft featured wooden stairs and ladders. The main shaft was crowned by an 85-foot steel temple, which served as the control center for the mechanical hoisting cage. Additionally, a large fan situated at the branch-off of the secondary shaft circulated fresh air throughout the mine. The main workforce at the Cherry Mine comprised of a significant number of immigrants, predominantly of Italian origin. Many of these workers faced language barriers as they were unable to communicate in English. Surprisingly, even boys as young as 11 years old were part of the labor force. Instead of standard hourly wage, their compensation was directly tied to the coal production they contributed that day. On Saturday, November 13th, 1909, approximately 500 men and boys, along with 36 mules, toiled within the depths of the mine. A recent electrical outage had plunged the mine into darkness earlier that week, compelling the workers to rely on kerosene lanterns and torches for illumination. These light sources varied. Some were portable and others were embedded into the walls of the mine. Shortly after noon, disaster struck. A coal car laden with hay intended for mules ignited. The fire originated from one of the wall lanterns. Astonishingly, the flames remained unnoticed by the workers for a staggering 45 minutes. When the miners became aware of the flames, they frantically attempted to put them out. Within the depths of the Cherry Mine, a desperate struggle unfolded. The mine's gigantic fan, once a beacon of hope, was reversed in a desperate attempt to extinguish the flames. However, fate twisted cruelly. The fan's reversed ignition and the fan itself caught fire. Simultaneously, the escape ladders and the stairs of the secondary shaft caught fire as well, trapping more miners down below. In a desperate bid to contain the inferno, both shafts were sealed off, smothering the flames, but this drastic measure had unintended consequences. The miners were deprived of oxygen, and their lifeline was severed. Meanwhile, a sinister menace crept. A noxious blend of carbon dioxide and nitrogen, named the Black Damp, thickened within the mine, suffocating all in its path. Amongst the chaos, around 200 men and boys fought their way to the surface. Some climbed through escape shafts, while others relied on the hoisting cage. Remarkably, a few miners who had already escaped returned to aid their trapped comrades. Among them, John Bundy emerged as a hero. Leading a team of 12, he embarked on 6 perilous cage trips, pulling many to safety. Yet tragedy loomed again. On the second trip, miscommunication sealed their fate. The cage operator misunderstood the miners' frantic signals, bringing them to the surface too late. In a cruel twist, the rescuers and those they had sought to save were engulfed by flames, their sacrifice etched forever into the annals of the Cherry Mine disaster. Among the suffocating darkness of the Cherry Mine, a group of trapped miners clung to life. Their ingenuity became their shield, a makeshift wall erected to fend off the relentless flames and toxic gases. Starving and parched, they quenched their thirst from the meager pool of water seeping through the coal seam. Desperation drove them deeper into the mine, away from the approaching Black Damp. 8 agonizing days dragged by. These resilient souls were christened the 8-Day Men, and finally they dismantled the protective barrier, and their quest for survival led them through a labyrinth of tunnels, seeking more sustenance. But fate intervened. A rescue party materialized before them. Hope mingled with disbelief as they stumbled upon their saviors. Yet tragedy remained. Among the 21 survivors, One succumbed to the cruel grip of asthma complications just days later. In 1910, the Illinois legislature responded to the tragic Cherry Mine disaster by enacting a more robust mine safety regulations. This pivotal moment aimed to prevent similar disasters and safeguard the lives of miners. The following year, in 1911, Illinois took another significant step. They passed a distinct law that would eventually evolve into the Illinois Workers' Compensation Act. This legislation sought to provide financial protection for workers injured on the job, ensuring that their well-being was not sacrificed at the altar of industrial progress. These legislative actions stand to endure reminders of the human cost of labor and the ongoing struggle to balance productivity and worker safety. On May 15, 1971, a solemn tribute emerged at the heart of Illinois, a monument erected by the Illinois Department of Transportation and the Illinois State Historical Society. This enduring structure stood as a reminder of those who had perished at the Cherry Mine disaster. Nearly a century after that fateful event, the Continental Commemoration unfolded in that very town that bore witness to the tragedy. From November 14th to November 15th, 2009, the community of Cherry gathered to honor the lost lives. They shared grief and reflection, and a new monument took its place at the Cherry Valley Hall, dedicated to the memory of the miners who met their fate within the unforgiving depths. And so ends the tale of the Cherry Mine disaster. But we have more coming. But if you enjoyed this story, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button for me, as it really does help my channel grow. Up next is birthdays. Jimmy Kimmel, an American TV host, comedian, writer, and producer, was born on November 13, 1967 in Brooklyn, New York. Whoopi Goldberg was also born on November 13th in 1955 in Manhattan. Whoopi got her stage name because she was known to get gassy when performing on stage, and she would end up sounding like a whoopee cushion. Gary Marshall, an American screenwriter, film director, producer, and actor, was born on November 13, 1934. He began his career as a writer for The Lucy Show and The Dick Van Dyke Show. If you're still with me, be sure to comment your birthday down below, just the month and day, because you might be picked to be featured in another video. Up next is Fast Facts. The United States Supreme Court upholds mandatory vaccinations for public schools in 1922. In 1940, Walt Disney's animated musical film Fantasia was released at the New York Broadway Theater. In 1947, the Soviet Union completed the development of the AK-47, one of its first proper assault rifles. In 1956, the Supreme Court of the United States declared Alabama laws requiring segregated buses to be illegal, thus ending the Montgomery bus boycott. In 1985, the volcano Nevado del Ruiz erupted and melted a glacier, causing a volcanic mudslide, killing approximately 23,000 people. In 2015, Islamic State operatives carrying out a series of coordinated terrorist attacks in Paris, including suicide bombings, mass shootings, and a hostage crisis. The terrorists killed 130 people, making it the deadliest attack in France since the Second World War. November 13th is also known as World Kindness Day. That about sums it up for November 13th. Are you ready for the joke of the day? Why did the pickaxe break up with the miner? Because he was taking it for granted. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Until next time, take care, stay safe, and thanks for listening.